Hello, it's Mama. And yes, you saw the thumbnail. You know what time it is. Our boy, our confused businessman who ends up dying in so many ways, but we still love him. Tanaka! The GOAT, the MVP, the hero of Termina. This is gonna be so much fun. Can you tell I'm so happy to talk about Tanaka? It's finally Tanaka! Before we start, I want to give a shout out to JustSomeNoob for creating the thumbnail for this video. Jesus, he made Tanaka more of a badass than he already is. His links will be in the description, so please go and support him. Do it. He's a super talented artist. Heads up though, they do make the naughty stuff. That's not safe for work. You have been warned. With that said, let the video begin! Tanaka. So, he is a non-playable character, so we don't know his backstory, nor does he have an ending B. However, we do know some things about him, such as he appears to have a business deal in Primeval, and his name suggests he's from Japan. I know, some of you will be like, the games are based around 7 countries and it's in a different universe to our own universe, but Poland is apparently a part of the Fear and Hunger universe, so yeah, Tanaka is from Japan, and you can't tell me otherwise. He's also well spoken, super polite, and kind of a sweetheart too. So, what the hell does Tanaka do in the game? Good question. He dies. He dies so much in the game, LMAO! Tanaka is a fan favourite in the community. Even though he has a really minimal role in the game, and he doesn't impact the story a whole lot, he's so memorable. As I always say, it really comes down to how talented Miro is as a writer. Every character is so good! In the start of the game, he is hella confused. He doesn't really know what's happening, but regardless, he needs to make it to a business deal, because he states he's late for it, which seems to stress him out. He slowly discovers corpses, blood, and clown are all over the place. What the hell is happening? Due to his dim-wittedness, it could potentially lead him to die in many ways. Knowing that Primeval is full of danger, he trains up with Mako, learning to protect himself. It's actually so cool to see him do something to prepare instead of just being afraid and hiding. Plus, the encounter with Pav really hardens him. It reinforces the mindset that he has to prepare for the worst. Later on, Mako gets turned into the giant. And this is where Tanaka changes. His friend who taught him how to fight is gone. What does Tanaka do? Does he run? Hide? Give up? No! He swears to end the Moon God's plans and end the festival once and for all. Epic. Just epic. Look at him. What a badass. Tanaka has 2 endings. He either lives or dies. And that's Tanaka's story. An everyday man in the wrong place in the wrong time. He may die a lot throughout your playthroughs, but given the chance, he adapts and turns into a hardened survivor. It's no wonder people love him. He's endearing. He represents the idea that anyone who ends up in a really bad situation can defend themselves and make it out of it. We can train and better ourselves. We're regular people who can become stronger or die. Yeah, most of us would die, LMAO. Plus, you gotta remember, you the player have to go out of your way to make sure he doesn't go to bed permanently. But that's Tanaka, he needs a guardian angel. It's very clear that Tanaka is a nod to the cliche dumb characters in horror movies that end up dying for being stupid, very unaware, or making bad choices, or all of the above. But he becomes uncliched. He legitimately grows in a really cool way. I love that Miro took such a horror cliche and made it into something amazing. In addition, I would like to expand upon Tanaka's country of origin, Japan. In Japan, their work culture is insane. They're expected to do free overtime. If you don't, then you're being disrespectful. There's laws where late night parties can't go on for too long. So, being late in his view would have been a massive disrespect for whoever he was meeting up with, and could cost him the deal. Hell, when you first meet him on the train, he's already stressing about the deal. But once he understands the situation is fucked in Primeval, he rejects that work culture and better himself to protect the others. Who he is expected to be back in Japan won't save him in Primeval. Tanaka needs to step up, be his own person. We can all learn from Tanaka. Alright, let's get this one out of the way. Tanaka's Moonscorch form, Judgement, is by far the weakest one in terms of design. It's not bad, I legit like it, but compared to the others, it's pretty boring. Like, look at him, it's just a dude versus these. However, saying that though, it totally fits for Tanaka. Tanaka is just a regular dude living a regular life with nothing wild happening. His monster form represents his mundaneness. In addition, the name Judgement and the whip he uses to be a reference to the pressure he has to make his family proud. Due to the toxic work culture in Japan, he's going to be judged. He has to work harder and harder, slaving away, being less independent. Even the whip he uses is called a flogger, which is used in BDSM sets play. It can be used on yourself, meaning Judgement most likely has been using it on himself to work harder, to make his family proud, to remind himself of his purpose. By the way, in sex, the flogger inflicts pain to keep the pressure up, and to make the experience last longer. It's actually very clever of Miro to use that particular whip for Judgement to hold instead of a standard whip. Anywho, that's my take on Tanaka's Moonstorch form, Judgement. If you think I'm wrong, and Judgement is one of the best Moonstorch designs, let me know. Again, I don't hate it, it's just, well, the other ones are more amazing. That's right, you fuckers. You knew I was gonna make a whole section about the many ways Tanaka can die. Knowing that Fahrenheit 2 is a massive homage to the horror genre, it makes sense to have a character who doesn't understand the horror he's truly in and gets killed in so many ways. So let's cover them and rank them! Yes, I'm gonna rank the many ways Tanaka dies. I'm gonna burn in hell. Needles! This is the most well-known death. It's most likely a new player's first encounter with needles and the very first time witnessing one of the 14 cast of characters getting killed. To be honest, it's iconic, just like the coin flips. In the bunker, you can see a wild Needles seems to really enjoy beheading Tanaka. What's even funny is that if you fight Needles here, you can see him wear Tanaka's hat. It's so ridiculous. Plus, this is the only time we see Needles, or anyone else for that matter, using a bone saw, which is definitely a nod to slasher movies. Yes, the janitor also does that too, but your limbs get restored so it doesn't count. Also, Needles has lower health if you find him in the bunker versus the city, meaning it suggested that Tanaka didn't take it and fought the clown. What a chad. Easy S tier. Next we have the Woodsman. This one is an uncommon death because it can be missed quite easily. You need to jump into the well by the Woodsman's house while both Tanaka and the Woodsman are alive. Call out for help and Tanaka will respond and will look for a way to help you. What will happen is that Tanaka will get jumped by the Woodsman, but still, he'll be super polite towards the naked Woodsman with an axe and a deformed penis. And you guessed it, he will get killed. And you will witness one of the best animations ever of Tanaka's head and body dropping down into the well. Then the Woodsman, getting his fill of murder for the day, will drop down a rope for you to climb back up. Oh my god, classic Tanaka. We don't witness the death, but the whole situation and the animation makes it another S tier. Oh, hello there, Woodsman, with an axe who's naked with a deformed penis. Can you help me? Chop. Next is death by Pav. In day 2, when Marco and Tanaka head out to the city to grab a wheelchair for Olivia, they meet Pav, who will draw out his gun. If you don't intervene, he'll kill them both. Not as fun as the previous two. It's a similar encounter between August and Karen, but that one was done so much better. So, C tier. Lastly, he can die by you, if you choose to take his soul. It does sound boring, but if you remove his limbs first, his dialogue is so funny. Like he's still in his dumb character phase, and he's like, my limb, you took it off. In addition, another crazy little detail, which is just so incredible, is that if you attack him when he's trained and hardened, he's focused and uses Marco's attacks. He's no longer afraid or confused. ALL-mer, I love this game so much. A tier. The everyday man character type sounds boring, and it can be boring, yet in my opinion, they are a perfect match for the horror genre. They have no powers or a wild backstory, they are just regular people, like us. This adds to the horror, since if it could happen to them, It could happen to us. It's why Junji Itoi's work is so horrifying, because the characters in his stories are just people. In addition, due to the setting, it can lead to the character to be more than a regular man, and embracing a whole new side to them they didn't know they had. Tanaka training with Mako and wanting to end the festival, the character evolves, turning into something completely different. It's so satisfying to see their growth. Remember, Tanaka was a dimwit at the start of the game. Of course, it can be flipped so they turn into a monster instead, letting the horrors consume them. Case in point, Sumeri. In my opinion, the best example of the everyday man character type is Henry from Silent Hill 4. He's in the wrong place at the wrong time. He has no personal history with the events of the game, he just wants to go back to his regular life. He is forced out of his comfort zone to achieve that. He's such an incredible character. Out of the main cast of the OG Silent Hill games, I relate to him the most. And as I grow older, I really appreciate what Team Silent did with him. Watch this video. You know the drill, let's cover them extras! Due to how Needles beheads Tanaka, it's suggested that Needles has an extreme prejudice towards him. Like, this is the only Needles murder we see that's fully animated. It must be said that Tanaka does mention how Needles is stalking him throughout the city, and even taunting him. The clown seriously hates Tanaka, LMAO, you racist fuck! Tanaka carries the latent soul. Latent means something hidden within a host, and slowly developing further without the host knowing. This could be a reference to his Moonscorch form, however, I think it represents Tanaka's growth as a character. No longer being a weak, confused businessman, but a badass who wants to put an end to the festival all by himself. In the very start of the game, he can be seen inside the train, yet he doesn't take part in the intro. However, after the intro, he's outside like he was. I don't know, it's something I noticed. Maybe Miro plans to add him into the intro if he's playable, and hopefully he'll have some unique interactions with the cast. Osa and Tanaka appears to be the only two non-Slavic characters out of the 14, meaning they are the foreigners. The games are based around Eastern Europe. The designs of certain areas appear to be Slavic based, and as mentioned before, Poland is apparently part of the Fear and Hunger universe. So it's safe to assume that both games are set in Slavic countries. Anywho, a little detail I adore is that Osa and Tanaka's behaviours are different due to their origins. Osa is a yellow mage, meaning they care about gaining powers for themselves. And since Osa knows what's happening, he doesn't really talk to the others at the intro. By the way, yes, I do know in his ending B he does actually care. Shh. Anyway, he knows what's lurking in Primeval. He is nice, but you can tell through his encounters, he's definitely a loner type. And he doesn't want to make friends. Like Jesus, even when he's bleeding to death, he's like, go away. Tanaka, on the other hand, coming from Japan, he's more polite and respectful. He's kind, and he's up for talking, and it's also why he gets his head chopped off by Needles and the Woodsman. And as mentioned before, the toxic work culture in Japan and the pressure to make your family proud is why Tanaka is stressing it so much in the beginning of the game, and why he's in a hurry to make that business deal he's already late for. And these little details are incredible, and they're easy to miss. So yeah, Miro's writing is just 10 out of 10. This extra is mixed in with some game theory. Let me explain why. In the older version of the game, if you read Tanaka's mind, he mentions not laying his father down. My game theory is that Tanaka came to Primeval to take advantage of the political mess that's happening, which in turn would make his father proud. You know, something like give resources to fix the damage due to the war. It definitely gives the memester a more sinister backstory. In the real world, that's why wars tend to happen. For the money! In the new version of Fear and Hunger 2, this was removed, so take this all with a grain of salt. Plus, this would reinforce the brutal work culture Japan has, and why Tanaka rushes to the city recklessly. This last one comes from the community, but I had to include it. People have theorized what unique trait Tanaka would have if he was playable. The one I see the most is having a triple coin flip system. That's busted to hell, because that means a player will have a 7/8 chance to win a coin flip. That equals 87.5%. That means getting chest loot and avoiding certain attacks most of the time! OPAF. It does sound fun though, but in all honesty, it's probably gonna be like, start with more money or have a higher money capacity. That's just my take though. And that was Tanaka, the everyday man who became more than the everyday man. Monster, badass, or dead. Oh man. Tanaka is so much fun. Plus, I have a massive soft spot for the everyday man character type in horror. They don't have a messed up backstory or crazy powers, they're just a regular man in the wrong place and time. I get it does sound boring, but when it's done right, these characters are so much fun, and they're very endearing. And that's another character ticked off the list. I would love to hear your thoughts on Tanaka. Do you have your own theories on his backstory? If he does become playable, what will his unique gameplay gimmick be? I think being able to hold more cash would be kind of cool. Tell me your thoughts on the businessman. Wait though, this video isn't over yet. The talented JustSomeNoob made the badass thumbnail for my video on Tanaka. What can I say, which hasn't been said before? He's so good! One of the best! I've worked with him in the past. His work is top tier. So go and send him some love. Check out his socials. Go and support him on his Patreon. His links are in the description. Keep in mind though, he do be drawing the naughty stuff, so what are you waiting for? Go and support him! Support JustSomeNoob now! Do it! You made it this far into the video? To the very end? Cool. If you wanna, and you already went over to JustSomeNoob's socials and his Patreon, why not check out my socials and my Patreon? Only if you want to though. I don't know. Yeah. Bye?